No matter how much planning you've done ahead of time, you are not going to buy a piece of land and start building a custom construction on it in 3 months' time. Now, that's coming from a lot of experience. In this video, my construction lender, Trey, and I are going to talk through what is a realistic timeline from buying a piece of land, actually starting construction, and then getting through with it on that piece of property. So there's a lot of information in here, so you may want to grab a pencil and a piece of paper, possibly a cold drink. Let's get you started on the video. I'm going to check out this piece of property for a client of mine. I'm going to kick this off, Trey, and just talk about, in construction, what's the first thing that somebody, if they're going to buy a house or they're going to buy a lot or they're going to build a house, what's the first thing that you always want them to do?
Get qualified.
Get qualified for the loan.
Absolutely.
That's the number one thing. And whether somebody comes to me saying, hey, I want to buy land or I want to build a custom home, I'm going to put you in contact with Trey. If you go to Trey and say the same thing, Trey's going to say, okay, great. We're going to get this started on our side, but you need to get in contact with Chris because you also need to start identifying what you want in a piece of property. From the very beginning, that's where we're going to start. Now, if somebody comes to me and they're already working with Trey and they're going to start that process of getting qualified, we're going to start talking about what does that property look like? What do you want? Do you want 1 acre? Do you want 10 acres? Because that's a very different animal between 1 and 10 acres. Do you want a view? Do you want waterfront? Do you want trees? Do you want the top of a hill? We need to identify what you want as a property because everything about what you think you want in a home is going to depend on what that property looks like. Most people come to me and they say, hey, we're going to build this modern farmhouse or we're going to build an old school farmhouse and this is what it looks like, and they've got plans. But inevitably we go start looking at land and we find a beautiful piece of property, but that house will not work because maybe the views are to the southeast, but the orientation's got to be to the southwest, and you've got to kind of rearrange it so you can maximize what's there. Now, I didn't go into too much detail in this video, so I'm going to stop and talk about this for a little bit. This is where having that team and that teammate that understands construction, especially in whatever state or whatever location that you're looking to do it. For my part in Texas, okay, our prevailing winds are out of the southeast, and especially in the summer when it's hot, I want my porch facing the southeast or kind of to the south so that wind can come across and I get a nice breeze all the time. I know in Colorado that's completely different. I want southern exposure, but I don't want it covered like I do in Texas. I want it open so that I can get southern exposure sun onto my deck or my patio or whatever that is in the winter when there's snow, so it helps to melt that snow off. So you've got to have that team that's going to help you out if you don't have that knowledge wherever you're trying to build this, this barn dominium or dream home or weekend getaway, whatever that is. If you don't have those teammates ready, if you don't have a contractor, if you don't have an engineer, stuff like that, get with me. I've got a lot of agents around the country, and even if you don't need a real estate agent, those people have those contacts in those states, and so I can get you in contact with people that can help walk you through that, because I'm telling you, you don't even want to buy a lot if you don't understand exactly how you're going to orient whatever the property or whatever the building is that you're trying to put onto it. So let's go ahead and get started with Trey again. The whole point, what I'm saying is, when you're talking about a timeline, you go buy your land, and then whatever plans you had for that house, those things are going to change.
Right.
Personally, my wife and I built a home 7 years ago now, I think. This video is being shot in July 2023. So we purchased land for that, and we didn't even start our meetings with our architect until after we had that lot. We had 3 architects come out to the lot, walk the lot with them, showed them what we have, and then picked an architect based on that. Now, I've got a lot of home building experience. I knew generally what we wanted, but I'll tell you, the first 4 meetings with our architect, all of my plans went out the window.
Right.
Because he's trained, right?
Yes.
He knew what to look for in the lot, where, the orientation of the house, which I understand now, but I really didn't get back then. All of those plans went out the window, and I thought we were going to spend 3 months with the architect. We ended up spending over 9 months with the architect.
And I think to a lot of people, 3 months would be like, are you kidding me?
That's exactly what my wife said. Like, why is it going to take that long?
Yeah, no. I see instances where there's enough back and forth with small changes. It can take a year to get your plans developed.
And our architect was phenomenal. Threshold Designs, Al Gmitter, he's in Buda. And he told us from the beginning, I told him I'm thinking 3 months, and he's laughing. He goes, I've never seen one of these done in less than 6.
Right.
And it ended up taking 9.
Right.
So again, if your plan is to be in a house a year from now, better hurry.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be possible.
Yeah, Chris, this is exactly, if you're going to spend 9 months along the way toward your dream, right? in starting the design, yeah, that's not what takes so long. It's just starting to move around this, what we want to, this and that. Every time you do, whole new process for the architect, right? Can you imagine getting all this done for your dream, only for me to say, Chris, man, I'm sorry. You've gone, we're over, you can't build that.
Well, and at that point, guys,
to the point.
You might be in $5, $10, $15, $20,000 to an architect.
Yes.
I mean, they're not working for free.
Right, right.
So again, the up front, you can start looking for the land. You've got to get your qualifications taken care
of. A point I've got to make.
Yep.
Just because you have an expenditure toward the building of that house prior to getting the construction loan does not mean that that cannot be part of the construction loan.
Good point.
You can literally be in reimbursed for that, right? You get your plans, you pay your architect, literally you write them a check for $15,000 when you close your construction loan. That can be a draw made off the line of credit to reimburse you for that.
Gotcha. And if the draw that he's talking about, if you're not quite sure, go back and watch the first video. We talk about how that's paid out. Right. So I didn't realize that architecture fees and stuff like that could be draws. Absolutely. Engineering fees on the guest too. Okay. But
of course, those are going to happen before you get your loan, right? Because we don't even know what we're going to appraise on. But yes, things that are done in preparation for construction can ultimately be part of the construction.
All right, jumping in again real quick to reiterate, because I realized the audio got a little bit bad there. But what Trey's talking about is you're going to have certain costs that you're going to have to shell out ahead of getting your construction loan, because if you're going to buy the land, if you're going to start engineering for septic, if you're going to do your architecture plans, if you need engineering for your architecture plans, if you need to put in electric, if you need to bring in water, those are things that are typically going to be cash out of hand, and you're not going to be able to have a construction loan to draw against those until you've got all of your plans done and everything like that. So you're going to have a little bit of cash set on the side so that you can do things like that. Septic tanks are going to run $30,000 or $35,000. You can have that done during the construction process. Water, you may need to dig a well. Maybe it's $10,000, maybe it's $40,000. And again, you can do that during the construction process, but you may want to do that ahead of time. The key thing to remember, what Trey is talking about here, is once you get that construction loan in place, talk to your lender about getting reimbursed for those fees that you've already shelled out for the construction of the property. Because at the end of the day, the construction loan is there so you can pay for the construction. And if you're doing things like infrastructure, those are construction costs. You should be able to get reimbursed for those. Make sure that you talk to your lender about that.
We're talking general timeline. And what I'm laying out right now is you better plan on at least 6 months of architect work. Okay. During that time, let's say they're looking for land, or maybe they've bought their piece of property and they're designing with. What does it look like on your end? What are they doing from a lending perspective? Right. Let's go from the initial thing that you laid out in the first video. Yeah. You said, hey, you're going to go buy a piece of property that's $200,000. Right. So they've got that now, and they're working on their plans. Okay. What does the timeline look like for you?
Well, first off, we will get started at that point in getting everything completely teed up to have you qualify, right? I've already got all your income documents, right? If we've gone through several month period, we're going to get them updated, right? You get a new tax return, yeah, you're going to share that with me, and I'm going to tell you don't buy a bunch of cars in the meantime, right? But again, my work is teed up. I'm ready to go. I've been working with you for a month or two, or even 6 or 9, whatever it is. The clock for me starts with the plans, the budget, and the builder contract. Okay. And now we're looking to be very efficient, because at this point, Chris, you're ready to build a house.
You're on the clock.
You waited enough. You are not going to wait for Trey.
Yeah.
Because I'm slow.
That's right.
Our goal is to have that loan closed in 3 weeks.
Okay.
The reason it's not 10 days, government requirements with disclosures,
and
the appraisal. Right. I'm going to order an appraisal on that. I hope to get it back in 2 days. If it's a busy market, it could be 2 or 3 weeks. Right. So that's going to turn it. But typically, I'm always going to say, once I have those 3 biggies, count on 30 days to lose the money. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I'll get it done.
Yeah, exactly. But again, from a timeline perspective, okay, we got 6 months with the architect. Right. We've got a month now getting that loan done, and you're ready to start construction.
That's right.
Okay. If you have a contractor.
Yes.
And we laugh about picking that contractor, and there's going to be a whole nother video on actually picking a contractor. But what you've got to realize from that time frame is that I've seen contractors build a 3,000 square foot custom home in 8 months. and I've seen other contractors that would take 18 months to build the same home. And a lot of that's going to depend on where you're building it. If you've just got a flat piece of land or something that's really easy to build on, okay, that's going to go quicker. If you're trying to build something in the mountains somewhere, that's going to take a lot longer. So when you when you're getting to the point where you've got your plans, now you're going to go looking for contractors. The best thing that I can tell you is make sure you interview 3 or 4 of them, get them out to the site so they know exactly what they're looking for and looking at when they start giving you bids on this. The last thing you want is a contractor that looks at a set of plans and is telling you, hey, yeah, you can build this for $800,000. But then when they get to the site, they realize that your foundation is going to cost $150,000 instead of $50,000. So now all of a sudden that $800,000 house becomes $900,000, and you've already started the process of getting your construction loan. So make sure that you're taking the time to vet your contractors. Talk to people who have used them, talk to people who have used other contractors, find out the differences in your area. And again, like always, if you need recommendations in specific parts of the country, let me know. I've got these connections. I'm more than happy to make the connection for you. I want you to have a successful build, and I want you to understand up front what you're getting into so that you don't get 2 years into the process and get frustrated when all you have on the ground is a slab and maybe you've got some walls going up. So make sure you're vetting all this stuff ahead of time, planning ahead, and make sure that you have somebody on your side, some type of team that's gonna, walk you through this step by step. These videos are great, but at the end of the day, having that relationship in person is gonna go a lot farther than just be able to watch YouTube videos. And again, like I always say, if you have questions on this stuff, if I can help you out in any way, give me a call. That's what I'm here for.